I'm like a spooky, spooky ghost. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. La 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 la. Whoa 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 whoa. Whoa 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 whoa. Oh, there we go. There we go. Chat preview's working. Hey, look at that. Whoa. Chat preview. Dave says we can't start the show until we get enough likes. We gotta hit the like button. Oh, Dave. You're not wrong, Dave. Well. We got noise in the background, my guy. Ooh, a little tunage playing in the background. Can I hear it? What's up, everybody? How you doing? It's a glorious Friday, Monday, Friday, Wednesday. We just out here wondering, what day of the week is it? Do we know? Do we know what day of the week it is anymore? Deep 10 months into the coronavirus. 9 months into the coronavirus. 8 months into the coronavirus. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's been a long, long road. We've been traveling down here. COVID-19 making a comeback. So I'm going to say right at the beginning of the show here as a reminder, hey, wear your mask out in public. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Don't try to touch too many surfaces. Don't get all super close to people and yell right into their microphone. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty simple, guys. Come on. Keep our hands clean. Keep our face clean. And don't express your out onto people. Just, it's pretty basic, dude. I don't know how many people out there want to act like this is some kind of like monumental oppression on them to just like not give your germs and stuff to other people. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It's pretty basic. It's getting out of control. Again. Lockdowns. Businesses being restricted. Can we just... Are we adults? Are we adults? I don't know. Well, we'll see what happens. Hopefully everybody out there is doing well. I am doing okay. I'm tired. My wrist hurts really bad. I did something to it yesterday. I think I was... I don't know. I was doing something, and it just... Do you hear that? Something in it just popped. It'll be all right. Trust me. I'll take a Tylenol, and I will be okay. But my work week, my off-site work week, I think is complete, although I might end up working over the weekend. We never know. I think I'm supposed to go out to a job in the BFE over the weekend. We'll see. But the 48 hours of work in 3 days is complete. I'll be back next week. I spent most of the morning here drawing out some diagrams for some wiring projects I'm working on. So I'm still working. It's not it sort of never ends, but you know how it goes, guys. The work apparently never ends. And I did see this morning, I got up with Olivia, and we're kind of rabble-rousing this morning, having a good time. And so a friend of mine had posted a meme that really kind of stood out to me about the people wearing the overworked badge of honor, or the overwork as a badge of honor. And I realize our society has gone that direction for a really long time of like, oh, I worked 100 hours this week, and and I'm always on the grind, and I'm always grinding, and I'm always And it kind of related to off of the Discord. Zipgun was asking me like, hey, have you ever made any cooking videos and stuff? And I have done videos of cooking demonstrations for the businesses that I used to work for. Although I didn't do the camera work, I didn't do the editing, I didn't have to do the sound design, I didn't really have to do any of that stuff. I just did the, hey, here's me in front of a camera making the thing that I prepped, because I was already going to prep that. talk about the recipe, talk about the development of the recipe, all that kind of stuff. I've done that, but I have not done that for YouTube. And this has been this is not a new question. I've gotten this question quite a few times. And so it's not out of the realm. Like, you know what I mean? I've gotten this question a lot. As a classically trained chef, people are like, why don't you make YouTube videos about food? And my thing is like, I make YouTube videos about fish tanks, and I do this live show that I like to do, which I would love to expand on the projects that I do for sure, 100%. But I am literally at the point right now where I have to take into consideration some of the fact that I have a family, and my family is the most important thing to me. I mean, I don't know. It feels like a rude thing to say that other people aren't as important to me as my family, but that's legitimate, 100%, just the truth, you know? So, I don't know what happened to our chat viewer. Oh, here it is. There we go. Oh, I have to connect it. Well, that's the whiteboard. Hold on. I've got to put the chat viewer up here by the front. It feels like a rude thing to say, like when you're on a show and all you guys are awesomely watching and interacting. And let me refresh this. Why is this not working? Why is our chat viewer not working? Huh. Refresh. Let's refresh the chat. Why is it not working? It will automatically work? No, it won't. It's not working. All right. Well, I'm going to close that and see if I can't get it to initialize. I don't know why it's not working. Either way. I mean, it feels like a rude thing to say when everybody's here watching the show, interacting with the show and doing all that stuff. And, but yeah, my family is the most important thing. Vicky, Olivia, my parents, you know, the list of the family, I could name them all off, but they are definitely the most important people. They're the most important thing. Vicky and I regularly make sacrifices for Olivia, and we may or may not have the time to spend with each other, but we are both adults and can recognize that we are busy and we have things that we have to get done. And so we'll have an opportunity to hang out. You know, we'll have an opportunity to spend more time together, you know, once we get those projects out of the way or whatever. But, you know, Vicky or Olivia is only going to be, she's only going to be the age that she is now. For however long she's going to be. And I don't want to miss out on all of that, you know. And let me see if I can get this chat viewer to work. Let's see. Oh, so it works if I just reopen it, but now it's not. But now it's not the right size or anything like that. All right, let's fix this. Let's fix this chat viewer. Calibri. We don't want Calibri. We want. Did we vote for green or yellow? F that. I'm going green today, bros. Ooh, look at that. Roman. Let's make it opaque. Let's get the opacity enriched. There we go. Let's make it just run right up to the top. I'm going to hit Alt. Does it not want to go up to the top? Top of the screen? There we go. Now we got to make the bottom start right here. It looks like the font's too small. I don't know what maniac could read that. Let's see. 14 points? That's not big enough. 15, 16, 17, 18, 20? 20 looks good.
I like 20. How y'all feel about 20? Look at that. Solid. Like a solid gold dancer. Anyhow, back to what I was talking about. So I really, I spend these 3 days working super hard. Then Mondays and Fridays I work doing YouTube, but I also have to do maintenance on my house. I have to do maintenance on my fish room. I have to do filming for videos. And I also have to do the live streams, which occupy a good amount of time. So Monday and Friday are pretty booked, right? Saturday and Sunday, currently, Vicky has to work most Saturdays because this is currently the busy season for all of the people that need healthcare and whatnot. Like, that's what's up. When it's a busy season, it's the busy season. There isn't anything that goes. So Saturday's pretty much booked with that, which means I could try to do something Saturday evening later on, but by that point, I'm kind of tired, and Sunday is sort of just like family day. And the last thing I want to do is tell my family, I gotta go work, even though I do, I spend, probably an hour on Sundays, checking emails and getting back to people and stuff like that. But that's, life's going to just continue going on. And if I was to try and do those cooking projects, I don't know where to shoehorn that in. I don't have space in my schedule to be let me start making these cooking videos. And that's the kind of consideration I have to take all of the time, with how busy my schedule is. And it always sounds like I'm being rude or something like that to a lot of people when I'm like, look, our current members, we were at 100. Oh, I have the whiteboard turned on. Hold on. We were at 100. We've gone down to 98. So it's income goes down. That means I got to go work even more. But Patreon went up to 209 people patronizing. So thank you very much for that. But, we're back to double digit on members and stuff like that. So I'm not sure where in my schedule I could fit in doing a project starting to film some cooking videos and whatnot. The reality is most of the cooking videos that you guys see, most of the video content you guys see is somehow either sponsored or whatnot. And as far as the fish videos and aquarium videos and stuff like that, there are some opportunities for sponsorship, but they're not production sponsorship. It's almost always here's a free product. Can you make videos about it? And as much as I like being able to do that kind of stuff, I'm not hyper motivated by getting a free product to just test out and then do a bunch of work for that company, right? Now, I do have a connection with Aquarium Co-op, so if Corey came to me with a product that said, hey, can you check this thing out and see what's going on? Not only on the business side of it, but on the friendship side of it, I'd be yeah, let me throw that in and I'll make a little video about it and that kind of stuff. But if Fluval came to me or Hagen or somebody and was hey, here's some free bunch of stuff, make a bunch of videos about it, that doesn't pay my mortgage, it just legitimately means I got more work to do. So I just want to kind of get that out there so people kind of understand where I'm coming from, that I work as much as I can. I could definitely work more, right? But I just, on a personal level, it would have to be incentivized to replace other work that I'm doing, right? As far as the contracted building and stuff like that I do, that will pay my bills one way or another. So as much as I love doing YouTube, and YouTube does make me money, we've never gotten to that point where it's all right, I can not do any of my other work because this will pay my bills. And it's I'm not asking for sympathy or anything like that. I just wanted to express to the people that support the channel and like the kind of ongoing conversations that have been happening sort of over this kind of pandemic period, of like, well, why don't you branch out and start making this and start making that? And it's like, well, the days are full, so anyhow, what's up to everybody in the chat? I want to say what's up to who was first. Pipex was first, Big D Smoke, Emma, Erna Pickery, Dave's Aquariums, Miradool Singh, Fishy Mindset, Dave's Aquariums, which I said twice now, I think. Pete Berlinski, Joel G, Groveside, Alyssa Bentley, Paulette, Frank Dominguez, and the whole bunch. I'm going to try to scroll down here. Casey Gaska, I've never seen that name before, I don't think, in the chat. What's up, Casey? Let's see. Jared Byer, so excited. My car I bought like 3 months ago has been at the dealer getting repairs for the last 7 weeks. Get to pick it up today. Yeah, I got to get a new trailer brake controller installed in my truck. That's going to be like $400. Because if you guys remember, I was in a hit and run accident from somebody that rear-ended me and drove off. And my old truck had a trailer brake on it. My new truck doesn't. And I realized I need to get that done. So called up, and local guy's going to do it. So it'll be fine. Let's see. Somebody had... I literally only know what day it is because my computer or phone tells me. Yeah, it's understandable. That's why I was like, is it Monday? Is it Friday? I don't know what I'm doing anymore. It's just one long day forever. J.R. Herrick wants to know, anyone here have any experience with Thrive C? I don't think I've had experience with Thrive C, but Thrive, the fertilizer, I have had experience with that. I do know the guy that makes it. It's a good fertilizer. It works great. It's on my list of recommended. Miradool Singh says, 98 of 700. Does that mean you have 0.14 members? No, that's 98 of 700. So we have 98 members. 700 triggers YouTube to give you a representative. So that's why I did that. I put that on there. Because for whatever reason, that's when YouTube is like, oh, we better contact this channel and give them a representative, a human being, not just automated robot responses. The hell? Yeah. Let's see. Somebody, but Thrive C, I would imagine, is fine. I don't wonder what the difference is. Thrive C. Oh, Thrive C is just got, like, let me see. Thrive C is a fertilizer with a truly comprehensive supplement for low-tech planted tanks. Highly concentrated all-in-one plant fertilizer. Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. Let's see. Total nitrogen 1.24. Water-soluble nitrogen. Available phosphate. Soluble potash. Magnesium. Nice. Sulfur. Combined sulfur, boron, cobalt, copper. Water, iron. Molybdenum, zinc, potassium nitrate. Yeah, I mean, it looks fine. Just see, 1 gallon refill jug is 19,000 gallons at $70. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's fine. I mean, all the stuff that Colin makes is good stuff. So if you feel like that's what you want to go with, my top recommended is Easy Green from Aquarium Co-op. I always recommend that to people. It's the easiest one to deal with. It's in the name, and it works completely fine. I grow all my plants on it. So always recommend Easy Green. Easy to order, and shipping super fast, blah, 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 all that stuff. Good to go. That's my recommended, but Thrive is totally cool, totally fine also. Secret History says, haha, YouTube giving us a representative. They're the worst. It's a numbers game. I mean, that's the reality with it is like once you're a big enough income metric for them, like that's just how it's going to be. And by the way, those of you out there that are upset by commercials being played, they'll be played on non-monetized videos now too. So there'll be commercials on all the videos now. So it's all, they're a corporation. That's what corporations do. Corporations fight to make money. That's just what they do. It's how they're designed. People have they seem to think that I try to tell you that corporations are evil, and it's not evil. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed to not care about the well-being of people. It's just designed to make money, and oftentimes the affect from that is that people are like, we're being treated poorly. Like, yeah, that's what this does. So I'm more of a fan of other systems, but that's just the world we live in. We live in America, so Zelfernid's wondering, hey Frank, I've always wondered, when did you move out of Joel's attic? There was a period of time you was always first. He moved out a while ago, but he just moved down the street, so now he's like fourth or fifth into the chat, which is totally fine. We can accept that. We're all very accepting of Frank. He's a great guy. We love him very much, and we hope he doesn't move too far away. That's the problem, Yep, new YouTube policy is coming into effect. That's right, Bentley. 100%. What's your procedure for tearing down a tank with fish in it? I have one, but I think I'm missing some do it easier dummy type advice. I remove all the hardscape plants, all that stuff. Then I net all the fish out. I wish I knew like some magical way to do it, but like if you're breaking down a tank, I just break it down, separate everything out, put it into separate containers. Like I have all these like little plastic tubs. Like Home Depot had them on sale for like you buy 5 for $1 one day, and so I bought like a stack of them, and I've always just used those. Let's see here. Hold on. Yeah, so I just use those. I don't know if there's anything like too crazy. People have seen me use the shop vac to pull out the substrate and stuff like that, and they thought that was kind of fancy. So maybe that's helpful. I used to have a separate shop vac that I would use for fish tanks, but it got stolen at my old house because I lived in even the more ghetto than I live in now, and I don't know. It was out front one day, and then it was gone. I lived in a part of town where people would constantly shoot their guns off, so it's not that weird that the shop vac got stolen. I think it's probably was expected, and then it happened. Doesn't mean I'm okay with it. I'm just saying it's likely expected. I always wonder why Stan is not... I always wonder why Stan is not here for the live show, because Stan the Observer puts some of the most well thought out comments on my videos. Like maybe he's just super good at typing, and he's just like, I just want to type comments. I don't want to be on the live typing in the live stream. I don't know. But yeah, shout out to Stan the Observer wherever you're at, dude. Guy always the guy's like the captain of the most well thought out comments I've ever read. So shout out to somebody who's awesome at commenting. I don't believe I've ever had a conversation with Stan to any degree, but I would love to I'd love to talk with that guy at some point. Or a girl. Maybe it's a girl. I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know. Texas Andy says, I get why people complain about the commercials, but hey, at least it's not as bad as TV, and you can skip after 5 seconds. It's minimally invasive. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like... To me, it's like, I think it's $12 a month for YouTube Premium. And if that means in a month I don't listen to 5 hours of commercials, it's worth $12 to me. I listen to a lot of long format stuff on YouTube, so you get hit with those periodic commercials all the time, and I'm like, no way. $12, way worth it for me. But I also don't pay for cable, so I can see how some people out there paying $200 a month for their cable TV are like, I don't want to pay extra for anything else. I'm like, I got rid of cable TV. I don't want to pay $200 a month for that. I have an antenna so I can watch football, like last night. The Seattle football Seahawks with a wonderful victory, looking like a well-rounded team again. I like that. It was pretty good. Good little game there. A lot of action. A lot of things happened. A lot of throwing the ball. A lot of running the ball. I liked it. It was good. It looked like a good, clean game yesterday. But I just have an antenna for that, so I can watch football and like the morning news, because it's just like on the broadcast airwaves. No big deal. And yeah, we got rid of the cable bill, and then I have fiber optic internet, so that's like, $100 a month. But you bundle all the other stuff in, and it's like $250. So it's way better as far as I'm concerned. So. Speed typing would be a good superpower to have. That can actually be learned, Paula. If you actually, there's a bunch of online typing courses that you can take. I am far slower than I used to be. Nowadays, I have to get into a rhythm to be typing fast. Whereas before, I didn't have to. But I do spend a lot less time writing than I used to on the computer. I used to spend a lot more time doing that. Alyssa says, the one thing that makes me want to get YouTube Premium is that I don't usually want to dry my hands off to hit the skip ad every 5 minutes. Yeah, that makes sense, dude. I hate having to skip this. That's the worst. You can't live like that. You know what I'm saying? Can't live like that, pushing buttons all the time, skipping ads. Secret History says Tubbs is good advice. I always use a bucket, and it's annoying. Yeah, I just use those little those plastic kind of stacking tubs, and then you can kind of crisscross stack them, put specific plants and stuff like that in those tubs. Chop back for the substrate, and then just like a 5-gallon bucket for the fish and that kind of stuff, and just kind of go along. I mean, I've seen a lot of snazzy methods for people doing stuff, but it's just not all that. I don't know. I don't know if there's a real fancy way of doing it. Let's see. Carmo's Creation says, I have Crypt Wendetii, Red, and Crypt Tropica. One sends out runners, and the other grows out bushy. Which one is which? Tropica grows bushy. Wendetii sends out runners. So, hopefully that answers that question. Hey, Corvus, I have a question about Ammonia gracilis. How long does it take you to convert when you had it in your tank? Not that long. I mean, probably 10 days or something like that. I mean, it does take time to... it does take time for it to convert, and it's hard to say if it's 2 weeks, 10 days. But most plants will kind of melt off, convert, and start sending out some legit growth after a little while. And there's not. It's just a matter of if you get an immersed grown plant and you put it in your tank, there's basically one of two things that's going to happen. It's going to convert to grow underwater, or it ain't. And it becomes pretty obvious which of which is going to be happening. It's either going to die, or it's going to convert and start growing in its underwater form. Tennessee H2O says, hey, Corvus, I got a sump because of you. Thanks. You're welcome. I like sumps, man. I do. It's just a much more... I mean, obviously it takes up more space, but it's a much more streamlined operation, in my opinion, compared to most others, and just generally works better. So Whether my opinion is correct or not, hey, that's always up for debate. I don't know that I'm going to ever debate anybody on it. Mainly because everybody's debating off of opinion versus empirical evidence, and having debates like that is like, oh, I like chocolate. I don't like chocolate. I do like chocolate. I don't like chocolate. I don't think it tastes good. I like it because I think it tastes good, you know? So it's always a problem. There was a point in time where I thought, like, man, maybe I should get really deep into the science side of it and be documenting it and doing all that kind of stuff. And sort of ties into my previous conversation is that, like, if I do documentation, science-based stuff, I know I'm going to publish it. And I don't care about the criticism. The problem is a bunch of companies would benefit from it, so it ends up becoming like an advertisement for these companies. And if CChem or Hagen or UNS or anybody, if they want advertising, they should be paying for it. I mean, we literally talked about cable TV. There's like a commercial every 5 minutes on cable TV. Like, why is the price so high? It's just double dipping, man. They're selling you ads and they're selling you the product. They're charging you for the ads. They're charging you to watch ads on cable. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all crazy. So, there was a point in time where I was like, man, I really want to get in depth and get, 20 tanks and have them all run differently and test them all and test all these different lights and all this stuff. And the reality is like, oh, I'm going to spend tons of money to do advertising for these companies, right? And then I'm going to have to argue with other people that are like, I like CChem better. Like, okay, I'm not an advocate. Oh, see? And so that doesn't really like play well with my personality. So I just kind of keep things written down in a notebook kind of thing and just really try to not get too involved in like publishing my findings and just try to pass on like my experience to you guys, and then you go like, okay, let me take that experience with a grain of salt, or maybe let me try to work it into my system. Like, my goal is to try to make this hobby like the most enjoyable for people, really, and not necessarily play into the corporations needing other people to do the work for them, and be like, oh, which substrate is the best? As I've told you guys, I use Fluval Stratum a lot, mainly because it's the cheapest high-quality substrate I can purchase in the United States. So people in, like, the Netherlands or people in Belgium or people in Germany, it might be more expensive, it might be more expensive for you. J.R. Herrick says Matrix. That's a perfect example of me going back and forth with CChem 8-9 years ago, something like that, and then making a video about how I don't like CChem Matrix, and they completely changed all of their website information about that following that, right? I think that video is still up on my channel. It might be, it might not be. I'm not 100% sure, but it's one of those situations, like, it's one of the worst videos I've ever made. People watched it. A lot of people watch it because they want to buy Matrix, right? Which Matrix is a high-quality pumice. They should just say, we find the best pumice we can. We think pumice works the best. And just go that route. But they were not doing that, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you would have been like, you would have seen ads that like Matrix will solve all of your problems, basically, And I'm not bad-mouthing CChem. I think CChem is a good company, and they're fine. They make good products and stuff. But the backlash that like I got from that company, the backlash that I got from like fans of the company, which is bizarre to me. Like people sending me threats, people like being nuts about stuff. It's like, it's a pretty interesting situation to see like someone that's a consumer of a product willing to go to these insane lengths to somehow defend it, right? It's just kind of weird to me. It's very bizarre. But welcome to America, I guess. Secret History is asking, Joel, do you have any sumps where you've put in anoxic beds or baskets? I talked about this on Monday. People are like real hot on anoxic filtration again because Dr. Novak was on PecTech's channel or something like that recently. I kind of went in depth on this on Monday. Anoxic filtration works. Yes, of course it does. It's been around in the saltwater reef communities. It's been in there for 40 years, something like that. Does it work? Yes. Is it something that the average hobbyist can implement in their system well? No. Not in my opinion. It doesn't work out. I've seen so many testimonials over the years of people trying to do deep substrate beds, trying to do deep sand beds, trying to do anoxic filtration into buckets, into canister filters, into sumps. I have some anoxic baskets in my 240 sump, and my recommendation to people is grow bacteria that lives off of oxygen. It is much simpler process. It's way easy to maintain, and it's way easy to track whether or not it's functioning properly or if there's something wrong with it. If you get a big ammonia spike in your tank, you know something is wrong, right? If you get an ammonia creep up and then, kind of a catastrophic failure from, the anoxic beds failing, most people aren't going to notice that as the average hobbyist. So one of the big things that, I try to remind people is that you want to make this simple and you want to make your ecosystem as healthy as possible while maintaining simplicity, right? Anoxic filtration works really well in the environment because the monumental amount of space, the total lack of responsibility from the environment to maintain itself, right? Like no one's responsible to be like, oh, the pond over here is still good. And the fact that people are financially tied to their systems and stuff like that. So, maybe at some point in time, I'll talk to Dr. Novak and we'll see like if we want to do a back and forth and see what it's all about. But this comes up the same thing comes up every 5 to 8 years. I've noticed these fads come and go. And I think it's realistically one of those. But, the same thing. It's like, what's that guy's name? Pond Guru or whatever? Isn't that his name? The Pond Guru? I think he has 500,000 subscribers or whatever selling his filtration stuff, right? Like I think he makes biomedia. I'm pretty sure he makes biomedia. And if you actually look into it, he went on this wild tirade, attacking a guy who was a metal detector YouTube channel. And he posted a I'm sorry video after he got sued and all this stuff happened, and it was all super wild. And it's stuff like that having happened in the past, and kind of seeing the landscape of the internet just kind of makes me go I don't know, man. These fads come and go and things kind of pop up, and people have this here's the magic secret to make your aquarium work really well. And I try to keep my systems to be I have good light, I have CO2, my filtration is based off of water moving around and oxygenating the water, and just running the system at the right temperature, doing water changes, just the basic stuff that as an average person could handle doing. I understand a CO2 system costs money, a light costs money, substrate costs money. I understand that all of these products cost money, and it would be completely incorrect for me to say that, like, yeah, anybody can just jump into it, right? And buy all of this stuff and do all these things. There are simple ways to set up your aquarium. A desk lamp instead of a fancy light. A hang-on back filter instead of a sump. Basic biomedia in it. Get a test kit and start testing your system. Off you go. Off to the races. But it's a little, that this kind of stuff pops up where it's like, here's the magic filtration thing. You'll never have to do a water change. It's like, there's no real systems on the planet that don't get a water change from some kind of water source. Like all of where we get our plants and our fish and our shrimp and our whatever, they're all coming from the earth, which is cycling around. It's getting new water introduced. The water's evaporating. Stuff's coming in, stuff's going out, and no one's actively having to do the work. You don't have to take a hose down to go fill up the stream, like either the stream's running or it's not, so it's just kind of one of those things. Cooley Kev says it's easy to forget that while we can make 4 inches of sand bed for anoxic bacteria, nature's got the entirety of the Earth's crust for substrate. Replicating nature is hard if you don't have an Earth. Yeah, it's one of those things. We have a much smaller system compared to the Earth itself. We're trying to replicate a big giant system in a very small confined space. So I just don't see the benefit of setting yourself up for what could be a disaster, Punchy Paints busting up with some Patreon and membership posts. Yeah, that's right. Quick friendly reminder, join the Patreon. I mean, that's primarily where the ability to do any of this stuff even comes from, is Patreon and memberships. Otherwise, if you count on YouTube to try and give up money, Google's not going to give up money. They don't want to give you money. I have 2 tanks with a deep sand bed, 1 salt, and it does work and all, but you could simply set up the tank with more biomedia and be just as successful. Yeah, that's been my takeaway. In my opinion, like, if you have a 40-gallon breeder, a 20-gallon tank with the $1 per gallon sales and stuff like that, a couple of plumbing pieces, blah blah blah, you could run a sump that has a ton of biomedia in it, and it's way more simple and way more bulletproof. And I've seen it from some of the grocery stores I used to work on, their equipment, replacing dishwashers and sanitizers and all that kind of crazy equipment, and plumbing and fixing grocery stores, especially the Asian markets that have tons and tons of fish coming in every month, live fish dumped into these tanks, and they're basically 100% particulate and just tons and tons and tons of biomedia to grow enough bacteria to keep all those big fish coming in and out healthy enough so that people can buy them to eat. So that was one of the things that clicked in my mind, was like, oh my God, the people that are relying on this for their livelihood, to feed their families, to feed their children and that kind of stuff, like, this is how they're doing it. Whereas, like, somebody who has nothing invested in my fish tank is saying, well, here's the way that I do it, or here's the way that I think you should hypothetically go about setting up your system, right? So that was kind of one of the big clue-in things to me of going like, oh, you know what, I should be replicating systems that can keep these animals healthy enough for human consumption, and people are relying on it as their income. So if this was wrong, they would have changed it by now. But every time I tested their water, when I went by there, ammonia was really minimalized. The water was relatively healthy. They weren't doing like insane water changes and stuff like that, but they were doing some water changes, but it really wasn't like an active thing that they did. And that was realistically like one of the biggest points for me to just go like, oh, well, this is how the adults do it. You know, I'm just going to keep doing and following the science on this and going this route. And it seems to work out pretty fine. How Am I says, hello, sir. Do you have a playlist for a step-by-step guide for setting up an aquarium with a sump? I don't know that I have, like, a step-by-step guide. I have some sump setup videos and stuff like that, but I wouldn't say that I have, like, a step-by-step guide. It's something that's on my list to make. I'm going to be making a bunch of changes to my fish room. It was going to be, you know, at a much different time that I was going to do all these changes, and I was going to do some more step-by-step videos. But, you know, it is what it is. Someday. Yeah, I think baskets are hard for smaller tanks. Seems like a koi pond, large system thing, but I do dig the deep substrate back up with aerobic bacteria still pulling the weight. Yeah, anoxic filtration with anaerobic bacteria, like, it does work. Anaerobic bacteria does work. We, as humans, utilize it in our septic systems, right? So you might live in a house or an apartment building or something like that that is plumbed into the city sewer system. A lot of people have septic systems, so you poop in the toilet, go down, out, big tank in the ground outside the building, and it's being held out there. Most of them are multiple chambers, but just to simplify, we'll just act like it's just one chamber, right? Anaerobic bacteria, there's no light in there. There's no air in there on purpose, so it's not being oxygenated. Anaerobic bacteria breaks all that stuff down. Recently, in the past year, maybe 2 years, I have noticed that a lot of the septic systems, in order to keep them running more healthy, have added air into them. So they've basically added a big air stone to oxygenate, to proliferate aerobic bacteria as opposed to the anaerobic bacteria, because the anaerobic bacteria regularly fluctuates so rapidly that those systems would die off, and you would have to supplement and buy bacteria and dump it down your toilet into the septic system on a regular basis. And that reoccurring cost versus a little bit of electricity to push air down in there, it's kind of a one or the other kind of situation, and a lot of people have been going with the aerobic bacteria, and that's based off of like the water treatment plants. A lot of the water treatment plants started using aerobic bacteria versus anaerobic, and it seems to be working a lot better for them. So that's a little bit of the science that you could look up if you were looking up the water treatment plants, aerobic bacteria treatment, because let's see, I did look this up just a little while ago, so I bet you it's probably fairly fresh. Let's put the chat over there. Let's move this. Aerobic bacteria in wastewater treatment plant. There we go. Yeah, August 19th, 2019. So, okay, yeah, I can bet you I can kind of screenshot this a little bit. Add source, screen capture. So it looks like this. So this is the old style. So this is the old style of aerobic wastewater treatment. Now, when I was a kid, when I was a little young man, I used to refer to this as the poop stir. Okay? Because it stirs poop. So what happens is this is all wastewater here, right? Let's see if I can find my arrow and move it up here to the front. So this big pond here, this circular tank at the top, this is all doo-doo water. This is all poo-poo doo-doo water, right? It's been slightly treated before this, but it's all biological waste being pumped into here and being pumped in a circle by what's likely a big, like, it looks like a street sweeper brush, okay? And that's what motivates the water to go around in a circle, and what it's doing is it's grabbing the air and oxygenating the water like crazy, and it's just building aerobic bacteria, right? And so it's just building that aerobic bacteria, which is the easy one to grow, right? Because one of the big parts of aerobic bacteria is that it lives off of oxygen, right? It's one of its main energy sources, and so the simplification there is that it's going to use oxygen, and then it's going to break down. So aerobic wastewater treatment systems use oxygen-feeding bacteria, protozoa, and other specialty microbes to clean the water, which I don't know that they would call them specialty microbes because they are just existing on our planet. Bacteria is wildly important for our planet. These systems optimize the naturally occurring process of microbial decomposition to break down industrial wastewater contaminants so they can be removed. The organic contaminants these microorganisms decompose are often measured in biological oxygen demand, which refers to the amount of dissolved oxygen needed by aerobic organisms to break down organic matter into smaller molecules, right? So this is one of the main reasons why I go, okay, on a regular basis, I can look into this, whether it be so we have aerobic, we have anaerobic wastewater treatment. This is a perfect blog right here. Anaerobic wastewater treatment, how does it work? Anaerobic wastewater treatment has a well-deserved reputation for efficient, low-odor treatment of streams with high concentrations of organic contaminants. But this is a much more difficult system for the average person to run on your aquarium. So it's like, yeah, do they work? Of course, they both work, for sure. Aerobic is much easier for the average hobbyist to recreate because all it is just you adding something that agitates and oxygenates the water, aka an air pump with an air stone. Simple. I don't like the aesthetic of the air stone flowing around in the back of my tank. I think it just, I hate the vibe of it. I hate the look of it. I hate all that stuff. So I do it all in the sump, so I don't have to see it aesthetically. I just don't like the aesthetic of it. I actually went and visited the sewer plant in Magnolia, the leaking one, to check out how they did it, and they use all newer aerobic systems, but they had discussed doing more anoxic. Wastewater treatment plants are handling a much bigger load than we are with our aquariums. Our aquariums are kind of buck wild, but not even remotely as buck wild as people pooping and sending it on down. You know what I mean? So our fish do waste. They waste into the water, but it is far more minimal than what human waste does. So they're dealing with a lot. Plus, they have a lot. A lot of people are counting on them. It's not like they have no budget and no science or anything like that. They have a ton of people working on it and stuff. So I love it. I'm impressed by it. I think it's amazing and welcome to the 21st century kind of stuff. But as an average hobbyist, most people don't have the time to really dedicate to even read anything, so. Donald's Fish Vibes. Joel, did you major or minor in science? I have no specific college degrees. I accidentally went to college so much that they gave me a high school diploma. I think it's down here on the ground. I think it is. I think it's down here. I can't pick that up. It's got broken glass. But I was one of those guys that realized that if you were going to college to get your high school diploma, you get to go to college for free. Because I started going to college with the Running Start program at like when I was 16 or 15 or something like that. You could keep going. You could keep going to college if you were trying to get all of your high school credits to get your high school diploma. So I kept going. I kept going to college. And I accidentally graduated from high school. And then it became way more expensive to go to college. So, yeah, started just going to the library, you know. Let's see. Phil Emerson says, much respect to you, Joel. I apologize for being late. Well, that's all right, Phil. We're all adults around here. Sometimes people are late, man. It's all good. Mismatched Socks is here. What's up? Good to see you. If you thought cichlids have a large bioloads, try keeping humans. That's right, man. Yeah, if you try to keep your own wastewater treatment plant going, it'd be a buck wild mess, man. Donald's Fish Vibe says, you could have fooled me, Joel. You're a very educated man, multi-knowledgeable. I'm one of those people that what's the best way to put it? I always want to understand what's going on. If I get interested in something, I will research it. When I get interested in something, I will learn how to do it. Some things I'm just not good at, so I kind of put them off to the side. But yeah, I will always research stuff. I'm constantly reading as much as I can. If I read a book, I want to read the counter book to it so that I can at least have a basic understanding of that kind of stuff and then see where it goes from there and where things branch out and what direction you're going to continue going on. And that's just the way that I am. I'm the kind of person, if I see a word in an article that I don't know, which bothers me, if there isn't an English word I don't know, that really bothers me, I immediately will look it up. And I do remember I got complimented by one of my college professors for that, because it was like, I forget what we were working on. We're working on something like as these little pod groups, like they'd have you group up and do something. Nobody in the group knew what it was. So I'd asked like, hey, is there a dictionary here so we can look this up? And like the professor was like, you want to look up a word? Oh my God, that's great. And I was like, oh, this is praise from another human. And it felt good. It's nice to get good praise from other humans. You know what I mean? Secret history, I did the same thing with Running Start. I got 2 years of free college done before it was over. It's a great system. Yeah, it is. It's a great system. I think we should expand on that system. And I definitely think that we should expand as Americans. I think we should definitely be expanding on the idea that you're not done at 18, right? I think we should definitely start to consider making some changes the way that a lot of things work in this country, and I hope to see those over the next couple of years. All the Trump supporters unsubscribed from my channel, as far as I could tell. When I congratulated Biden and Harris for winning the election, I think a couple hundred of them left. So, but either way, I look forward to at least some progress. Shall see how it goes. I mean, I live in a pretty bitchin' state, you know what I mean? I live in Washington State. It's a pretty bitchin' place. But we have a long ways to go. Just like, Vicky having to work the weekends because our healthcare system is super weird, in the U.S. and insufficient as far as I'm concerned. But one of the things I've been actively kind of thinking about is the idea that somebody is 18 and they got to go out on their own and like do their own thing or whatever. We're here in the 21st century, and the idea that like somebody that's 18 can somehow even remotely be competitive with somebody that's 35 years old has a degree, has experience, has all this stuff, and then just jump out into the workforce and pay, $1,500 a month of rent, plus all of the bills, plus doing all this stuff to just be able, it's like, now you live on your own, get out of here. I think we need to make some really big changes as far as that kind of stuff goes, and it might just be societal more than anything else. Oh, Donald says, no, Joel, I'm still here. I mean, I think the unfortunate part with the Trump situation, for a lot of people, I don't think it's everybody. I really am not trying to pigeonhole everybody who's Republican or everybody that just voted for him because it was the only Republican on the ticket, that kind of stuff. I think that I know a lot of conservatives that are very reasonable people. There are big portions of the Republican presidential campaign platform that I cannot get behind. There's just no really ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, I'm not going to support repealing gay marriage, for instance. That makes no sense to me, and it was in their presidential platform. They, it's just bizarro to me. Wesley's Fish Club says it's why kids join the military in the U.S. because they literally think studying is just getting in more debt. It's not the only reason that kids join the military in the U.S. That is definitely not the only reason. There are many reasons why. I have a military family, so it's not like I'm very far away from any of that. But, there are lots of reasons why people would join the military. But the military in the U.S. was originally instituted in order to be an upward movement for basically, it was supposed to be a mechanism to move people up that had nothing going on, right? That's the real cheap and easy way to put it. It's like people that had no economic step ladder, that had no education. Like, educating everybody is a fairly new thing in the world. It's a fairly new thing in the United States even, right? So one of the biggest mechanisms, if you go back and look at the early founding of the military in the U.S., was, hey, we have all these people in the U.S. that are wicked smart, right? But we don't have anything to find out who they are or educate them. So one of the big things with the U.S. military that they started doing was aptitude testing, IQ testing, basically. So they would do these aptitude tests and basically fast track people with no education into an education. So it has always been. It was initially designed that way. It was implemented that way, and it was carried on that way. So that aspect hasn't changed. But it is a relatively new development that being this far in debt for getting an education, that is new. That is a fairly new thing. It's only about 40 years that it has been this crazy ramp up in cost over the last 40 years. So that is a fairly new thing. So that is a new aspect of why people would be joining the U.S. military. But there are a lot of reasons why people join the military. And just to say that it's one is not the only thing. But I've definitely talked about it. I think that there should be a civil service in the United States that is much more readily available for people to join, that isn't just military based. I think that there should be some of those big systems brought back. I'm sort of an FDR progressive, I think, is kind of where I would put myself. If I was to categorize myself, I would probably say I'm like an FDR progressive, pretty much. Is where I would put my political ethos if I was to categorize myself. And I think that we need to bring back some of those bigger economic movement programs that are driven by the fact that we need them, And if you listen to our current politicians, you'll hear, like, we need to do infrastructure, and you're like, yeah, we need to do infrastructure, but most of the infrastructure in the United States is done by private companies that buy they win a federal grant in order to do these projects. So it's like a good example would be the freeway projects. Like when they build a freeway project, it's private companies that do the work. They're just brought in via a contract through the federal government. So it's like most of these people aren't federal government workers. They're private companies just being paid federal rates, via those contracts. So I think that we should definitely expand a lot of that stuff because more often than not, like I was even having an argument with my uncle that he was like, they fixed the road out here and the federal government can't do anything right. Like they screwed up the road and we got potholes like 3 years later and blah, blah, blah. Right. and I was like, well, what company did the construction? And he's like, it was the federal government. And I'm like, no. What company built the road? He was like, that was the feds. I'm like, okay, what road are we talking about? Let's go look it up, and we'll look up who fulfilled the contract, because in Washington State, it was probably in the north end where he's at. It was probably Wilder Construction or somebody like that. And he's like, oh, you kids always like just want to look stuff up on the internet so you'll end up being right. And I was like, oh, my uncle's an asshole. But I don't think he's an asshole, but he was being an asshole. And I was like, oh, you don't want to look up the actual answer? Oh, that's cool. I guess we'll just continue to have your opinion via your opinion, just because it's your opinion that you have. Like, you're not going to change your opinion based on the facts that have occurred or the knowledge that you could easily find. And I love my uncle to death. I think he's a fantastic guy. He has done a great job in his whole life, and I think that he's a great guy. I think a lot of people get stuck in that thought process of, well, I've had this thought forever, so I'm just going to continue to have this thought. And I have desperately tried to avoid that. I try to look things up as much as possible and go, I'm probably wrong. Let's find out what the hell this is all about. So, I think that most all of the conversational topics have like many reasons, aspects, and things going into them, combining into them, opinions coming into play. And so I try to find the conscious middle ground of like, okay, let me find out what's going on here. Secret History says facts are clearly fake news. Well, I said this the other day, and I posted this into the Discord, that I never thought that the internet was going to radicalize the elderly. I didn't realize that because, so I'm 40 years old. I grew up in the 80s with Reaganomics, with the war on drugs, which is still going on to this day, with the crazy corrupt government, with things that were so hard to find out if they were doing something wrong or whatever, and that kind of stuff. There was only 3 news channels when I was a kid. There was like ABC, NBC, and CBS. That was it. The news was only on in the morning and in the evening. That was it. And there was like news block. That's it. Morning news. If you missed the morning news, you didn't see it. If you missed the evening news, you didn't see it. It just went away. It disappeared. It didn't exist anymore. And the reason I say this is because I grew up with people that, so like my parents' age people, that group, and older, they grew up with highly vetted news, right? They grew up with news that was fact-checked, that was people got fired if you inappropriately covered a story. If you lied about something, you all got fired, right? And you would, in the evening, you would watch like a half an hour of news where Tom Brokaw would come on and, this is the news. Well, in Beirut, somebody got bombed, and they would tell you a story that was vetted, that was all backed up. It was from a guy who wore a suit, and he shook the papers up, and he went, shook the papers up, And then he calmly told you about a thing that happened, right? And I never thought that the internet, from those people that were the same folks that were against rap music's going to rot your brain. Rock and roll music's going to rot your brain. Video games are going to rot your brain. All of these things that they constantly were freaking out about, right? Those people still have the exact same mindset that when they watch, for instance, Tucker Carlson. If you want to go look up Tucker Carlson, they have specifically defended themselves in court on multiple occasions that they are not a news show. They are strictly an opinion-based entertainment entertainment source, right? They've been sued multiple occasions. They've gone all the way up to I believe the state Supreme Court to defend themselves by saying that they're just entertainment. It's not news. But I've noticed that a lot of people of the generation that's older than me, so 60 to 80 years old, seem to watch those shows and then immediately parrot the thing that they hear. And it is very weird. It is very weird to me to encounter it from human beings that I really, really respect. That I respect, that I appreciate, that I love, that I care for. When they are just like, well, you need to pick yourself up by your bootstraps. And I'm like, do you even know what that means? What are you talking about? This is horse shit. Like, what? You can't pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and that's never been that saying, right? So, it's stuff like that. And I use that as an example because it's a perfect example that has been specifically brought to my attention on multiple occasions from people that it's just my duty to pick myself up, as if I don't live in a community or as a part of a community or anything like that, which I do. I am a part of the world community. Like, we're all people. But Punchy Pain says, hey, don't let me in with those old people. I just never thought that it would radicalize. I just never thought that the internet was going to be the thing that would radicalize, as I put air quotes on it, the elderly, just because it sounds like a better saying, but it's mean to say okay boomer to people, I guess, now, because they immediately got, I'm so offended. They got like super baby hurt offended, like by people saying okay boomer to them. That they just started kind of going bonkers, that like they were somehow being attacked, and it was like, hey man, you've had 65 years. Why haven't you gathered information? Like, it's not my fault. But let's see here. You guys talking about rent prices? $1,500 will get you a room in a 4-bedroom house of college kids in Seattle. Well, in Seattle, yeah. Western Washington is very expensive. I live out here. We moved from Seattle, so I live in Tacoma, which is, I'm gonna say, 40 miles away from Seattle, just down south here. Very much like it. I like the community here and stuff like that, but this house was planned to be a stepping stone property. I don't think it's the greatest economic mechanism that anybody out there could possibly do, but buying a property that is going to go up in value is something that can be done, and that's basically was our plan for this property here. We bought it at a good price. The price has gone up. The valuation has gone up, and our plan is to sell this place at some point and upgrade to something that has more land. That's ultimately our plan. We were going to do it. We were going to sell it this year, but there has been the Rona. The Rona has come up. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but we've been knee deep in a freaking pandemic here for quite a while. Let's see. Let me read the chat. Hi, Mal, really? How my says 1,500. That's cheap. Oh, this is what I was going to try to get. I was trying to figure out what you guys were talking about. I left when I was 18. It was definitely a struggle, but nowadays it's very uncommon for kids to be completely on their own at that age. It's getting more common for kids to stay at home into mid-20s. Yeah, I mean, I think that's happening, but I think that's more just because there's just economically nowhere for them to go, you know. I think that's just more of anything, you know. Donald's Fish Vibe says, I won't be making any more comments here about politics. People take this politics real serious. Independent thought is not allowed. Well, Donald, independent thought is 100% allowed. I don't know. Did you get in trouble for saying something? I don't think you did. I mean, I know that Google has like automated stuff. I don't know. Was anybody getting mad? I mean, I'm not offended by conservative politics at all. But the idea to completely deregulate everything, as far as like conservatism goes, that like the market will, you know, like the market will adjust, just doesn't exist. You know, it doesn't exist in America at the very least. So I don't know. I don't know if anybody was coming at you. I don't know, man. I don't think anybody was coming at you. I mean, everybody's like more than welcome to have their own beliefs and have a conversation about stuff. I mean, that's basically why, you know, it's one of the big reasons that we launched the Discord, you know, was to be able to have a conversation. And some people got on there and they felt like they were being attacked, you know, whereas it's like, you know, like, what's a good example? Like, somebody got on there and they were like, you know, welfare is, you know, is the worst thing that's ever happened in the U.S. or whatever. And it's like, what? Like, how about mass incarceration? Is welfare is worse than that? You know? But I definitely would appreciate, like, you know, people that read and study history, especially in the United States, because that's where I live. It's where the things apply. But yeah, I'm more than happy to have conversations with that stuff. And people, if you're on the Discord, you could always call in and tell me I'm an idiot if that's what you want to do. Got my hand slapped by the Facebook for typing in white trash with money. Facebook defines that as hate speech. It could be. It very well could be. I rented a 2,500 square foot home here for $450 a month, and I raised my own rent twice over 10 years. I don't know what that means, Rico. I'm confused by that sentence. We've been trying to buy a house since January. 6 bidding wars, and we've come in second place to all cash 5 times now. I don't know how you would know that, Alex. They don't disclose when you lose. And if the homeowners disclose that to you, they're not allowed to do that. And if the banks are disclosing that to you, or the realtors disclosing that to you, they're not allowed to do that. So if somebody's disclosing that information to you, figure out what the hell's going on, because they are not allowed to disclose that to you. But if they said that they got a cash offer, the big reason behind that is that you don't have to pay a bunch of closing costs and stuff. So they may have made the exact same offer as you did and offered cash, which is going to close super fast. Yeah, you don't have to pay closing costs. It closes. The house will be sold super fast and all that kind of stuff. So that's one of those things. Yeah. Let's see. Got my hands at it. Well, the unfortunate thing, Donald, is like, yeah, people take politics pretty seriously because it is the form of governance over everybody. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, people wearing masks has somehow become politicized by the current temperature of what's going on. Oh, the Seeker History says they disclose it a month later. Yeah, like on Zillow or whatever, they'll put the selling price up on there. But that disclosure is not necessarily exactly what happened, by the way. That's not necessarily accurate. Like Redfin, Zillow, all those are renowned for putting up the wrong price, the wrong selling price. So just be aware, take that with a grain of salt. Yeah. But yeah, people putting in cash offers that's legitimate, and there's nothing you can really do against that. Whereas if you wanted to battle cash offers, politics come into play because we need to regulate that, like Canada did. So if you look at Vancouver, Canada, and their housing crisis that they had up there, foreign investors were coming in and cash buying houses and leaving them unoccupied as a place to park money, and it's a big issue. But one of the reasons that politics is so personal is it's the form of our government, of our self-governance and our community, that it's our representation. And when we see people die because of it, like the politicizing of wearing masks, right? Simply wearing masks. I was listening to a debate yesterday about people that were considering wearing a mask as some kind of intrusion on their civil rights. And a thought came up to me because I was like, if we went to a hospital and nobody was wearing scrubs or a mask or a hairnet or any of that kind of stuff, gloves, any of this proven basic PPE, personal protective equipment, we would be like, what is wrong with this hospital? Are they cleaning anything? Are they cleaning this building? Are they clean? Are they cross-contaminating somebody from the other room? Am I going to catch whatever somebody down on floor 2 has because they are not wearing their PPE, right? Like, we don't question that, but we got to question, like, wearing a mask at I was going to say Walmart, but I don't ever go to Walmart. So Home Depot. Yeah, it's like wearing a mask at Home Depot. Like, I saw some dickhead at Home Depot the other day, like, not wearing a mask, even though there's free masks at the front door of Home Depot. You can get hand sanitizer. You can get a sanitizing wipe for your cart, which I just wipe off the handle. Just for peace of mind, even though there's a person out there wiping off all of the grocery carts, cleaning them. There's free masks at the front door, and some jerk off is like, I don't want to wear a mask. And it's like, not only are you not wearing a mask, you're like yelling about it. So it's like a double whammy of like stupid, Like, not only are you stupid, like, you're not even considerate of, like, other people around when we know that there's a virus moving around that's killed hundreds of thousands of people in our country. Like, that's a problem, man. Like, that's a problem of something is wrong with our society, dude. It's like, my civil rights are being infringed. It's like, well, we would have to literally sit down here and talk about, like, what our civil rights are. If you think that that's infringing on your civil rights, like, it's very bizarre to me. It's very bizarre, but, pants are an infringement on our freedom, but we all just decide it's probably a decent idea. I mean, just have, like, just to have, like, a sense of common decency to not have your genitalia out or your dirty butt. I mean, it's just kind of reality. Like, I don't want the bacteria of somebody's dirty butt around at the Home Depot, you know? Put on your pants. Put on your shoes, dude. No shirt, no shoes, no dice, right? Like, I don't want Spicoli's nipples out at the Burger Shack place or whatever. What was that? What was that? Fast Times at Ridgemont. What did I spell wrong here? Ridgemont High, where they went to eat. Where did he work at? He worked at some kind of place. I can't remember the restaurant. The actor who played the weed-loving Jeff Spicoli became a huge star soon after, racking up Oscar nominations for his roles. I can't remember the name of the, because he went and worked at the pirate place, right? Judge Reinhold. Judge Reinhold's the guy, no shirt, no shoes, no dice. Get out of here, Spicoli. Robert Romanus looks terrible. Ooh. All right. Whatever. We all got sidetracked. Sorry about that. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's always a sidebar I'm going to go down. I can't remember the name of the restaurant, though. I need galvanized siding so bad, but I'm petrified of going into the Home Depot. It's actually not that bad. I would say realistically, the Home Depot is actually doing a pretty good job. You know, they have it's set up pretty well. You know, the self checkout there works really good, and there's normally an attendant there that wipes down the surfaces that you use right after you leave. So it's pretty good. You know, wear a mask. Don't put anything in your mouth while you're there. You know, just get in, do your shopping. It's pretty good, and you can get out and sanitize your hands. So, I mean, I'm not going to name any of the places. There have been some places that I've gone to that have been less than admirable as to what they're doing. In the world, but of the coronavirus, but Home Depot and Lowe's have been pretty darn good. There's some of the customers are dingleberries, though. Donald's wondering what music this is, and let me find it. Yeah, I think that's this, right? Yeah. World collaboration by Dan. So the artist is Dan Ayalon. There. The artist is Dan Ayalon. And it's licensed through Artlist Music. Artlist Music is the company I pay for music licensing. Which I even got hit with some copyright claims just a little while ago and had to file my my music ID with the people that were trying to claim. And people were trying to lay claims on my copyright claims on me. And I was like, here's my license, and they were like, oh, sorry, never mind. So that's the first time I've gotten a copyright claim in like, quite a while. It's been quite a while. Ooh, see, Alex coming in strong. The All-American Burgers. That's what it was called. There we go. Oh, I typed it into chat, Donald. So, you see it there? Did I spell it wrong? Ayalon. That looks pretty easy to spell. I have some Rotella macrandra mini red. Does this type stay small or fill it grow fast tall? By the way, I have a twin star light and feed ferts iron as well, but no CO2. Rotella macrandra, like, always grows tall. I mean, whether I got like the mini or the medium or the grande or whatever, whatever variant somebody is selling it as, it is always reach to go up tall, and then be a pain, and then so you know, just bear in mind that almost every Rotella is going to grow up to the top. You know what I'm saying? Cooley Kev says, I've heard from multiple creators YouTube has been slapping. Just giving them the old, but does it slap? Left and right with the copyright claims. The systems have become more automated, and so like I know that Twitch and YouTube have been updating a whole bunch of stuff as far as copyright claims and things go. It's just rooting through information, and it's just all automated. So more often than not, it's not a big deal. Some of the old videos, I just deleted them. I was just like, all right, whatever. Let's see. Rico Stan says people want to see my genitalia. I was just assumed that. No, generally, no. Generally, no. You normally get prompted. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you asked who the artist was. That's the artist is Dan Ayalon. So I don't know. Most artists have weird names for their stuff, so bear that in mind. Almost all Rotellas I work with have reached for the sky. That's right, Miradul. Almost always. Almost always. Glass City Fish Witch. In Ohio, we lost 4 homes this year to large cash offices. They're allowed to disclosure to the realtor. I don't know about in Ohio. I don't know the realty laws in Ohio, but I'm in Washington State. Different states. But yeah, if you're a realtor, you can disclose to another realtor the sale or whatever. Like if you're the mortgage, all that stuff. You can't disclose until after the deal is done, I think. So, I mean, you could go look it up like a month or two later. Once everything has been closed, then it becomes public information. But like if you're getting information, that week, then that's not good. It's Nature Man says, I wish I could get the Zillow price for selling my house. You probably can. Normally they're pretty close on market comps, at least in Washington, as far as Zillow goes. Like they're pretty good automating the market prices versus the sales for being listed. Although we got completely screwed because a property back here got foreclosed on. And a house flipping company bought it from the bank at way below value, flipped it, they remodeled it, and I say air quote remodel it because I've been talking with the guy periodically over the last 6 months, and he's been just fixing all the screw-ups in that building, which I was kind of shocked. The flipping company was in there for about 10 days, and the whole house was remodeled, and I say with air quotes because there's just... It's, they're not like rewiring the house. They just put new outlets on, so it's like you pull out the old outlet, wire in a new one, put that in there with a cover plate on it. It's like, we rewired, it's new electrical. It's like the electric box didn't move. Like nothing was rewired. So how could it be new electric? Yeah. Super Reds and Minis stay small leaf-wise and then get more leggy. Yeah, the leaves are just smaller as far as most rotalas and stuff. They still grow tall though. What's the longest you've ran a tank with the same substrate? Curious on how long stratum would last with your plant load. I mean, the longest tank I have running right now that was just straight set up was whenever I moved. So over 3.5 years since I moved here, the 150. Or 3 years. Let's just say 3 years. I typically do a lot of changes to my tanks, so it would be a little bit weird to be like, this is how long. But I generally speaking have not had issues with substrate lasting a long time. I don't have that. It's pretty weird. I don't have that experience that people like, it all breaks down and turns into dust. And I'm like, I don't have that issue. I have really soft water here, which is the perfect environment for it to break down. But I generally don't have that problem. It's Nature Man says nothing like rewiring an old home. Nothing quite like it. It's very true. It's a nightmare. House hunting, we see so many shoddy flips. Yep, constantly. It's cheaper. And capital gains kind of puts a cap on the real ability to actually do a property. With a company, if you have a big payroll, you have to move them fast. So it's not really my recommendation for people to buy houses that are flipped that way, but it is what it is. This house here was flipped like that to the previous owners that bought it. Apparently this house had a tree fell on the front of it, and the lady passed away that owned it. They had owned it for a really long time. And then the company stepped in, bought it, and then they basically did all this kind of cosmetic paint flip cover up stuff. But I think I was talking about this on the Discord the other day. So you have knob and tube wiring running all over the place still in this house, which I removed all of that and rewired this whole place. And then as I was rewiring, a good example would be, so on the outlet box, I wonder if I have one. I don't have one sitting here. Anyhow, so there's a box and your outlet goes inside it, and then there's a cover plate on it, right? Inside there, the wires lead in to feed the outlet. There's just power where you plug your power in, right? If it's knob and tube, you have a hot lead and a neutral, and that's it. Old knob and tube style. Newer outlets are wired 3-wire, so you have a hot, a neutral, and a ground leg. So what they did was, the people that flipped this house, previous to the owners before us, they went through, pulled all the outlets out, brought up a new outlet, and put like a 4-inch whip on the end of it. And then they pulled the knob and tube wires through, tied those in, and then pushed the Romex through so it looked like they'd rewired the whole house. So every outlet, if you pulled the cover plate off, it looked like there was 3-wire Romex going into the outlet. It was all just tied in to the old knob and tube, which I had to tear all that out and basically broke my back trying to do it with the place that's still living here, which is really hard to do. It's not fun. There's a great Chinese lady flipper who has a crew that comes and lives in their RV on the property for like 2 weeks and actually fixes and paints and brings everything up to code. But I guess that's gentrification because this is in the hood. Honestly, I don't think it's necessarily gentrification in that aspect. I think one of the big issues would be like the opportunity zones, gentrification. As much as I like the idea of rebuilding these neighborhoods and stuff like that, the opportunity zones have allowed like giant companies to come in with monumental amount of money and essentially pay no taxes to completely redo a whole city area, and then the people that live there have to move away to somewhere else. So that's what gentrification is when you push out the people that live there, and then they can't afford to come back, which has happened a lot. And it's one of the reasons why there's so many progressives on the coasts where the bigger cities are, is because we see the affect of big business and how they can affect just your average everyday life, right? Yeah, Paula says, oh, Trixie Romex fake out. Yeah, that is. Dave says, I found knob and tube in a friend of mine's place when his roof started leaking and a breaker tripped repeatedly. Yep. All right. I think that's it. That's it for today. That's it for today. It's Friday. Viewer activity. No super chats. No new members. I got to check the Patreon feed. No new Patreonizers, but just a whole lot of ads for early Black. Did I say Black Friday deals. Where was it? Oh, I had a link for a fish product and it went away. Oh, where's my orders? Oh, here it is. Here are the light bulbs that I ordered for the project. This one right here. Hey, we're an Amazon affiliate, so if you guys go buy stuff on Amazon, we get a commission. So there's a link to the Amazon page. That's the light bulbs we're going to be using on a project up and coming. If you guys want to order some for yourself and make some goofy lights that I'm going to be making. And then here's the sockets, in case you're looking for some basic light sockets to follow along. Easy, 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 easy money, money, money. Get money. Yeah, so if you're going to buy stuff on Amazon, go through our link. If you're... Oh, hold on. RF 100 to 500. If you want to sponsor the channel, and this is literally a joke, but over the next year, you guys, over the next year, this is the lens right here I'm going to be saving money for. Ah, crap, this isn't even the right one. We want the 100 to 500. That's the one. It might not be out yet. Is it not on Amazon yet? Oh, it might not be on Amazon yet. It's apparently... Okay, it's apparently not on Amazon. Okay. Yet. That's the 70 to 200. I don't want the 70 to 200. I have really no use for that. I bought an old EF 70 to 300. It's fantastic. And it was like $300. It was amazing. But there's a new RF. Excuse me. I'm getting all... It's so gross. There. But yeah, there's a new version of this lens that is coming out. And it's like $2,600. I think it's at Adorama. But either way, if somebody's going to sponsor $3,000 to the channel, just tell me ahead of time and we'll figure it out. I was just literally just joking. I don't really ever expect anybody to do anything like that. Don't do that. It's a freaking pandemic, dude. Save your money like I'm saving my money. Save your money. But if you happen to be super rich and want to buy me a lens, go for it. Oh my God. So we got a super chat here at the end from Janice. $20 super chat. Jesus. Thank you very much, Janice. I 100% appreciate it. By the way, if we get up to 200 members, I'll do a weekend live stream. If we get up to 200 members, I'll do a weekend live stream. Actually, screw this. If we get to 125 members, I'll do a weekend live stream. That's doable. Cool. So if everybody becomes a member, next thing you know, Weekend live stream. How about that? How you like me now? All right. Love you guys. I'll see you later.